to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Nageswara Rao sir, and respected Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor Uma Kanjilal Madam, for their timely guidance and taking out their valuable time for helping us during the various planning session of the Knowledge Transfer Series. We are gathered here for the fourth lecture on privacy analysis of online social networks. A special acknowledgement goes to our esteemed speaker for today, Dr. Vishwas Patil, Senior Research Scientist, IIT Bombay. Beyond his professional achievement, Dr. Patil is true gentle at heart. He has consistently used his expertise to address some of the most pressing global challenges. Now, I would like to offer a heartfelt welcome to our Professor Suresh, who served as a Director of Sources, along with other directors, regional directors, and esteemed colleagues from Sources. This includes the faculty members from various schools within the IGNOU. I would like to also extend a warm reception to our enthusiastic participant who comes from the diverse background, including academia, industry professional. A special mention goes to our young and promising learners enrolled in BCA, MCA, and PhD programs. You have joined us for the noteworthy online knowledge transfer series, which is organized by the School of Computer and Information Sciences at IGNOU. IGNOU, as the world's largest open promises to bring a unique and motivate promises to bring a unique and innovative dimension to these sessions by featuring speakers from various fields. In India, October is recognized as the Cybersecurity Awareness Month, which is dedicated to emphasizing the significance of digital safety and cybersecurity. The primary objective of this month is to promote awareness and underscore the critical role of online safety in the digital age. And this lecture has been thoughtfully curated to raise awareness about cybersecurity, to coordinate a range of events and activities aimed at engaging both at the general public and technical cyber community in India. Today, our expert, Dr. Patil, delved into critical topic of privacy analysis in online social network in an era where our lives are increasingly intertwined with our digital world. It is essential to understand the nuances of how our personal information is being managed and safeguarded in these virtual spaces. Online social networks have become an integral part of our daily lives, connecting us with friends, family, acquaintances across the globe. It is a topic that concerns us all, and one that will continue to shape the way we interact and share it with ever-evolving landscape of online social network. I extend my gratitude to each and every one of you for your unwavering commitment to the pursuit of knowledge. Together, let's continue our journey of knowledge exploration and growth. Thank you once again for giving this opportunity to coordinate these knowledge transfer sessions. Now I request Professor Suresh, Director Sources, to address the gathering.
Thank you very much, Professor Sandeep. First, I would like to welcome Dr. Vishwas Patil ji. Sir, thank you very much, sir. On the first day of the week, you agreed. Normally, Monday will be the busiest day due to the Saturday, Sunday weekend, and many things will be accumulating at the department. But thank you very much, sir, for accepting the invitation. And I also congratulate everybody on the eve of National Cyber Security Awareness Month. Today's lecture is very much in tune with the National Cyber Security Awareness Month. It's privacy analysis of online social networks. And this is the fourth lecture of our online knowledge transfer series that was initiated by Professor Sandeep Singh Rawat, professor in computer science at School of Computers and Information Sciences. Now we are very, very fortunate to have Dr. Vishwas Patil ji. He is a senior research scientist from the IIT Bombay. He was also co-founder of Week Redify. Then he has done his PhD from Sapienza University, Rome, and his research areas include security, privacy, access control, payments, and other related areas. He also taught digital payments at IIIT Allahabad. He has taught principles of data and system security at IIT Bombay. Then he also handled many short courses such as on blockchain, privacy, cyber security, and other things. He headed many conferences, and I would like to mention here that today's lecture is very, very important. Of course, in case due to internet disruption or anything, if you are unable to continue, it's always available on the YouTube also. This particular lecture is being streamed live on YouTube and is also being streamed live on the Zoom. So anybody who misses can go back and access it from the YouTube after the seminar is over. You can always post your questions in the chat box, and at the end of the presentation, Professor Sandeep will be taking up the the questions, and he will be interacting with the Dr. Vishwas Patil, and Dr. Vishwas Patil will respond to you. And today's lecture is very important because privacy analysis of online social networks is very important, because all of you are on some social network, whether it is a WhatsApp or a Facebook or a Twitter, and definitely you must be worried about the privacy, because all these are free services. And then how they are earning money? Are they selling your data? If yes, what data they are selling? Oh, and what is that you always accept when you are accessing these networks? They will provide you a big page of terms and conditions, and you will be working very hard to scroll to the down and click on the accept. So what all you accepted, you yourself don't know. And later you will be thinking that how the other person knows everything about me. Okay, so many things. And this lecture will be very interesting because it is something associated with the social networks. So, Professor Sandeep, back to you. Thank you very much, sir, once again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. The moment we have all been waiting is here. I kindly ask all the participants to please mute their microphones and turn off their cameras. If you have any questions during the presentation, feel free to use the chat box to send your queries, and we will discuss these questions during the Q&A sessions. Thank you, Dr. Vishwas Patil, for gracing us with your presence and for being a beacon of knowledge and inspiration for us all. The stage is now yours, and we eagerly awaits your word of wisdom.
Thank you, Professor Rawat. Thank you, Professor Suresh. I thank the Chancellor and Pro-Chancellor also. And good morning, everyone who is present here in this talk. So I'm quite happy to always discuss the research that we conduct here at IIT Bombay. And this is a particular research that we had conducted in year around 2017. Around that time, Facebook was in limelight for several of its misuses, political or otherwise. Some of those came later on, but we wanted to analyze the claims of the privacy policies of online services, whether they conform to what they claim in their policies, whether the users understand what they are accepting in their settings, and whether these settings are enforced as they claim or as they are understood by the end users. Let me share the screen, my presentation. Oh, it is visible, Professor Rawat. Can you confirm with me, please?
Yes, it is visible very well.
Okay. So this is a joint work done with Professor R.K. Shamsundar and some of the students who worked on this project. So the premise of this is, even now, social media or online social networks, we call it OSNs, are an integral part of our daily communication requirements, whether it could be one-to-one communication, group communication, or broadcasting to a group of interest, either by a person or a political party or a firm or a advertiser. So there are several use cases that we see that we are engaged with the world using the OSNs. And we chose Facebook because it was the most fancy, or it was the most used social media network around that time. Even now, but in different forms, it has spawned into several other services, but the core of the technology remains the same. It is an amazing engineering feat that Facebook has implemented as an infrastructure to manage billions of active users at any given point of time. So if you just see how they have implemented, it is one of the unique implementations of IT infrastructure. So at the end of our studies, what we have found out that some of these design decisions are for the sake of efficiency, for the sake of speed. But in the course of doing that, there were some shortcuts or there were some checks that were not performed. So one can argue that they were beneficial to advertisers, or one would argue that these were the just engineering drawbacks of the system. We can see in different ways, but that's not the point. The point here as a research investigation is, once a service claims it has a policy in place and it offers its users some of the settings, the question is whether those settings are enforced. So whenever we use some resource online, that resource is usually protected with some policy. And the enforcer of that policy, who is usually the owner of the resource, enforces those decisions on the user. And based on the user's authorization level, the user is allowed to do something or not allowed to do something. So there are several different online social networks like Twitter, even Google, but we chose Facebook because it covers almost all the features that every other social network provides. So our findings in their motivation apply to other social networks also. So I would like to keep it accessible to all the audience that is present today, and I will request you that if you get interested or curious about how we have done that, or if I'm too fast in explaining, please refer to our paper. It is with the same title, and also the presentation slides are available on my website. So let's begin. So before, I would like to give a brief uh, 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 setup of Facebook, how it is implemented. So I will relate it, that implementation, to computer science notions like graph, nodes, and edges, and how they use this computer science subject of graph theory in implementing their infrastructure and how they provide their services. Okay, so Facebook is kind of a ubiquitous service. Almost large percentage of online users have installed it, have their accounts on Facebook, and it is one of the widely used platforms by advertisers to reach their audiences. So the business model is the users are getting entertained or connected with their friends, family, and acquaintances. At the same time, the advertisers are allowed to reach out to the audience of their interest. So assume you are an advertiser of a particular product, the platform allows you to filter out who could be the potential users of that product, and the advertisements will reach to that intended audience. So currently, all the OSNs have become quite sophisticated in addressing their intended audiences, but at the core or at the back end, they use the same methodology, which is a large graph, which is a very dynamic graph where each node is a user. Their relationship with other users are edges on the graph, and these edges are labeled based on their interactions. So such a rich, huge graph is at the core of this network. And on the one side, there are advertisers. On the other side, there are users. And in the middle, the owner of the graph is earning money from advertisers. And on the other hand, the owner of the graph is also allowing the users to do their daily activities like communication or getting entertained, all such kind of services that we usually find on Facebook. So the questions that are at hand when we are investigating this OSN Facebook is, do users understand the privacy policy settings offered by Facebook? I'm sure some of you or many of you at some point have played with your settings, might have stopped unknown people from seeing your friends list, might have stopped or might have posted some of the content only for your friends or only for your family or only for your groups. So such things are allowed by the platform through the settings. So there are global settings and then there are per post settings. So these are the policies that you can put in place on your node because you are one of the nodes on the huge graph that Facebook has built. Second question is, do these policies really preserve users' privacy in letter and spirit? So in letter means just as the English sentence what it says. In spirit means do they really mean what they say in plain English? So our investigation is it just to protect Facebook from regulators, or is it really the users are protected by the claims that Facebook made to its users? The third question is, what are the remedies? So if Facebook really wants, what could they do? Or if they want, despite having a huge infrastructure, without getting a huge hit, what can they do to really preserve the privacy of their users? So the first two questions are serious questions. The third one were our suggestions to Facebook. Some of our findings were remediated on the platform. Some of the suggestions, I'm not sure how they have implemented because they don't discuss these things publicly. But some of the findings that we had done with the policy enforcement things do not exist these days. However, it is still interesting to understand what is the platform, how it does, what it does, how we knowingly or unknowingly leak information, and who is interested in that information, and how do they capitalize on that information for financial gains. So I have segregated this talk in three parts. In first part, let's understand the graph. In second part, let's understand how we specify policies on the graph. In the third part, let's have some examples where I will show that despite your settings, what you assume to have happened does not happen. So social network is a network of nodes and edges. Each one of us who has an account on Facebook is a node on the graph. So it allows users to create profile by populating a predefined template of fields with personal information. So when you open the account on Facebook, it asks you your name, your image, your date of birth. It may optionally ask you to choose some of the friends. Either you can search them via email or through their phone numbers. So that way, a new node comes into existence. It gets connected with some of the nodes that this node may know. And also, this node may optionally get connected with some of the businesses or your institutes or your groups that you might be interested. So this is how you come into existence on the graph, and you start forming edges with other nodes on the graph. It facilitates relationship with other entities and organize the relationships into categories like friend, family, organizations, etc. And you might define new categories also. For example, if you are a cycling enthusiast, you may form a cycling group. If you are an enthusiast of pets, you might form a group named pets. And under those labels, you organize your connections so that it becomes easier for the platform to enforce a policy on a group of users instead of individually enforcing the policy. So when you're posting something, you may get a convenience of posting it for friends or posting it for family or posting it for public. It also allows you to post it for an individual user. It also allows you to post for friends minus some of the friends. So all such flexibilities are available on Facebook. So these are the utilities that the platform provides you to organize your relations into groups, and you can enforce your policies on the groups. It allows users to traverse the social space and grant access based on access policy specified on the reachable node. So assume you are a member of some university, and if you have posted something for the university and someone else tomorrow becomes part of the university, that post becomes available to the new member of that group. So the new member is related with the university. That means there is an edge between the node, the new user, and the node university. And if that edge exists, then the new user can reach to the post made by you. And therefore, on the graph, if there is a path, then you can access the content. It could be a photo, it could be a video, or it could be a text space. So this is how Facebook works in terms of graph. So advertisers are also nodes on the graph. So if they want to reach you, there has to be some connectivity, and the platform provides that connectivity. So advertisers are interested in a particular audience based on the type of product they are advertising. So they need to target. If they target, they reduce their budget in advertising. So assume if you have a room full of 100 people, all are unrelated, and the question in front of you is you must reach out to the people who are interested in your product. If the budget to reach one person is 2 rupees, you will require 200 rupees to reach out to all 100 people in that room. But assume if you don't have that budget, or assume if you have the budget and if you can save on the budget, you will save on the budget. So Facebook and other social networks allow you to do that. They allow you to reduce your budget by targeting their audience. So if assume in this room of 100 people, I want to sell a new mobile phone. So first I have to find out who are the users that are interested in new mobile phones. So if I ask you the question, you might say any person who is struggling with the existing phone or the phone is broken is probably interested in a new phone. So how do I find such people? So assume if I get a signal that your battery is draining very quickly, or assume I get a signal that you are losing your connection intermittently, these are the indicators that there is a problem with your device. And if your device is communicating such indicators to the platform arranges all such signals into some category and allows advertisers to profile users based on some of the signals. So there are thousands of such signals. So based on such things, if I figure out there are 10 users who are struggling with bad battery, who are struggling with intermittent connections, I would like to target them first. So my budget comes down to 10 into 2, just 20 rupees. In 20 rupees, I'm making my product to be sold very effectively, and I save 180 rupees. So that's the targeted advertisement. Other thing that people do on these social networks is they form a following, they engage with their following, they become influencers, and then they either project their ideology or they project some products. So they form a loyal audience who listens to them. So these are called influencer nodes. So you might have heard these days on Instagram and other places, there are influencers. So they may sell financial products or they might sell some other products. So the influencers first build up a large community which follows them. And then they are in a position to influence this community. So this influence could be political influence, this influence could be for a product, this influence could be some for ideology, it could be anything, but the platform allows such things because it is a graph where everyone is connected. It is allowed to find your targeted audience. Once you find them, you engage with them, you form the engagement with them, and then you may influence them, some for not so dubious characters, but some obviously do for their benefit. Firms which do business in particular geographies, they also want to project their brands. So they also have this intention to have a large engagement with their customers. So the platform allows that. Then there is content analytics. So there are people who are searching for what kind of content is there, whether it is funny, whether it is serious, whether it is religious, whether it is political, all kind of those things. So once they identify these things, they can label those contents. Once they label those contents, they can do analytics on those contents, saying who are the people interested in this kind of things. If you're interested in particular post XYZ, and if there is another post ABC, which is similar to XYZ, then they will drive you towards ABC. So it's a very interesting, huge graph where we are always interacting with other nodes. And once we interact with a node, a new trace that you leave on the graph, and this is how the analytics entities on the graph will make use of it. And obviously, with all these features on the graph for users, for the marketers, for the influencers, it is easy to find new markets, new leads for whatever reasons you have in mind. But all of the above things require you. If you are not there, then this whole graph is useless. So what do we do to keep you there? So obviously, you won't be surprised that you are always entertained on these platforms. You always get content which are similar to your liking. You never feel bored on these platforms. You get what you like, and the platform predicts what you may like. And this is how you are constantly kept engaged, because slowly the platform is understanding what are your likes, dislikes, and trying to project you and trying to categorize you, trying to profile you. All this is because all the traces that we leave by doing a like, doing a comment, doing a positive or negative comment, everything is revealing about our personality. So consumers are feeling entertained, consumers are feeling there is a value, consumers are feeling that this platform is beneficial for them, so they stay engaged. And once there is a huge number of consumers on this graph, all the other business related things are possible, which we discussed just now. So there are capabilities that are given for users. You can post, you can share, you can consume the content. The platform observes how long you are consuming the content or you are skipping the content, and it is making its decision, because the mandate for the program for the platform by design is it must keep you engaged, so that if you are engaged, only then the advertisers are going to come, advertise, and that's how the revenue is going to be generated. Then some of the influencers do product reviews, they refer the products. Some of the people express their opinions. Some of the people post their location-based services. And some of the apps like offering romance, offering teaching, offering other type of services, such kind of things also exist on the platform. So the platform is increasingly becoming engaging, giving some sort of services to the consumers, because it is a primary requirement for to attract the advertisers on the platform. So it allows organization of campaigns. So something like let's go somewhere, or let's have a strike, or let's do something, or let's clean up our surrounding. All those kind of things are allowed to be done on the platform. You get engaged with new people, you form a group, and etc. things. You may seek work or employment on the platform. All of the above reveals something about an individual. If you're looking for work, it may indicate that there is a high probability either you're looking for a switch or you are unemployed. This leads to generation of a profile of an individual. Everything that we do, the platform is recording. It needs to record because it needs to identify you for a particular interest. And once it does so, so that it can match you with a particular advertisement. This is how the platform is designed. Because it has to make some revenues, therefore it must engage with the advertisers. Advertisers calculate how effective their campaigns are, and they will come to this platform only if the platform is really bringing customers to their businesses. And such profiles that are built on their users are helpful for advertisers, also for surveillance. So who is doing this surveillance? Long ago, when Uber and Ola were there on platform, and when they used to allow their users to log in into their services, either Facebook or through Google, etc., then these platforms could check which service the user is going to use. So if you open up Uber and then you open up Ola, then both the platforms, Uber and Ola, through Facebook, are understanding that the customer is looking for a service and we should get the customer. So what do you think? You're aware that they have dynamic pricing. The dynamic pricing is projected that based on the congestion on the network. But obviously, if they're really interested in this customer, they could also cut down their prices for this. But for that, they need a hint that the user is looking for a competitive service, right? So these were the things some researchers pointed out on the platform, then they plugged back. So they build up this huge graph and there were such loopholes, and then they gradually started closing these loopholes. So it is unfair to claim that that was an intentional design or just a design made for the sake of giving features, concentrating on efficiency or speed and not concentrating on the side effects of such decisions. So social media is also an integral part of businesses. They engage with their customers, they build their brands on social media. So they can't avoid this, they have to be on this. So we do a lot of things on social media, and then a lot of businesses also have strategies how to measure their spendings on social media. So they have different measures to do that. And you will find several other social media networks are also there, but providing a niche service to their users. Facebook is a very generalized one. Then you might find LinkedIn for professionals who are building their careers or projecting events from their careers. Twitter at some point was only a text-based thing with a limited number of texts, etc. So every social network comes online with a particular audience in mind, but at the back end, all of them have a graph. And they make queries to the graph, they have advertisers on the graph, they have users on the graph, and so the same thing at the back end happens. And why they're investing so much on this and why there is a rush to engage the users, all the platforms are rushing to keep the users engaged. So these are the figures. These are the figures only for 1 quarter of Facebook. These are the figures from 2016. Currently, the figures could be on a higher side. So just for 1 quarter, they earned this much per user. Okay. So, and then they have an ecosystem of apps on the platform. So Facebook invites app makers to use this social graph so that the apps can reach out to their intended audience, keep them engaged, and the underlying infrastructure is from Facebook. So it's a win-win for both sides. So the app developers on Facebook are making use of the pre-existing connections on the graph, and the Facebook owner is observing these app users engaging with each other or with the app. So you remember that the platform is profiling its users. So if you see the examples on the screen, each app belongs to a particular category. So the first one is for travel, second one is for games, third one is for healthcare, then there is child related, then there is stream go, and then there is this another game. Okay, so these are distinct categories of users. So if the platform is interested in profiling users, and if a particular category app comes on the users, that app gathers a huge number of followers, what does it imply? All the users of that app belong to that category. So your profile becomes richer. The richer the profile, more the advertisers have a targeted audience for them. So this is what is happening on the platform in backend. So you may recollect, if you are a user of Facebook, there is something called timeline, there is something called news feed, And there is something called, not many people use, it also allows a search on the graph. Okay. But these are usually used by influencers to find out who are the consumers, who are the people nearby, who are the people interested in flowers, who are the people interested in pets, etc. things. So at an abstract level, this is what a graph looks like. If you are a user at the center, if you are engaging with your friends and some of the businesses and some of the content, this is what happens. There are two friends, one family member, and this user has liked Starbucks, this user has liked some photo, and this user is playing a game. So clearly from this snapshot, the user has revealed much. If you are friend with someone, you may have something in common with a high probability. So if your other friend is revealing too much about the personality, it might reflect on your personality. If you're following a particular type of businesses, it talks about your financial capabilities. If you are playing particular type of games, it talks about your risk-taking appetite. If you're playing the game at a particular time of the day, it also speaks about you. So all these things are revealing about you on the graph, and every action on the graph is being recorded. And this graph is becoming richer and richer and richer. It's not only you, all other users are also engaging with you and your surrounding. So imagine how many number of edges, labeled edges, are getting created every day. So nodes are basically things like users, also photos, pages. These are nodes on the graph. Edges are actions like. Okay. So the connections between the things are edges. And each nodes also have some fields like birthday or the name of the page. Okay. So the continuous users of Facebook might recollect all these fields. So just to make a rigorous analysis of this platform, now let's start defining each thing. So every user is a node, every photo is a node, every comment is a node, every location event is a node. Nodes are identified by unique 64-bit ID on Facebook. So you can imagine how many nodes could exist, 2 to the power 64. Each relationship is an edge between two users. Each like is an edge between a user and a node. Each share operation is an edge. Edges are labeled and also weighted. So assume Alice is a user and posts about her location. Then what happens? So Alice says, I was at a particular location and it is being shared with Bob. And when this information appears on Facebook, there is another friend, Kathy, saying, wish we were there. So it is a comment. So it is another node. And then David is a fourth person who is liking this comment. Okay. So assuming these actions, let's see what happens on the graph. So these are the things that are happening in the backend on the graph. So all these are IDs of the node, and these are the things that are happening. So just stay with me. What I want to underline over here is there is a graph, and each action is triggering something on the graph, and all those actions are recorded on the graph. That's all. If you want to get into the details, take a pause later, go along with that paper and this presentation, and you will understand it very clearly. And so Alice had posted that event. When it posted, someone commented, someone liked that comment, all these things happened. Then what happens if the event gets deleted? When the event gets deleted, all these actual node about that event and the node about that comment, all those got deleted, but some of the other things remained. So what happens to this? So these observations led us to do a rigorous analysis of the platform. So we started using the APIs provided by Facebook. Our all experiments were conducted using version 2.8, and this was the interface on which Facebook allows you to do queries and get results if you are a user on the Facebook. Then we started composing our queries like this. If this is the ID, I want the name, this is the ID, this is the name associated with this ID. So this is the node ID, that 64-bit ID, and this is the string associated with that node. So this is the label. So if you have a page for pets or for cycling, that name will appear over here. If you're a business, that name will appear over here. But each node will have a unique ID on the graph. So, and if I'm querying something which I'm not allowed to do, then there will be errors. But I formed a query about a node and I asked what kind of operating system this node is using. Then I'm getting that this user is using Android and other information. So the API calls are allowing us to validate what we see in the graphical user interface, whether the same things are available through API. But what we have found is through API, more things are allowed. Graphical interface is meant for engaging the user, so unnecessary information, probably they are not projecting it over there. But if you are using API calls, you get a richer set of information. And mostly advertisers or influencers make use of this information to form their campaigns. So it records everything. It records all new users, their posts, what they do, what they comment, with whom they form relationships. If they get deleted, that node gets deleted. Associated edges also get deleted. A content is also a node. And if you want to access that content, if I have posted an image on Facebook and my policy is only for friends, and if you're not my friend, you can't see that content. And if I posted it, if I change the policy to public, you will be able to see. If I change the policy back to friends, you won't be able to see. So this is how the access control on Facebook works. And this is what all normal users of the service will understand and also expect the platform to behave that way. So to access something on the graph, there must exist a path. So if you are a friend of mine, that means we have an edge between us. That means there is a path between the two nodes. So that is a necessary condition if you want to access something on Facebook. So existence of a path was a sufficient condition, but what we are showing to you through our experiments is, despite not being associated with a node, you can still get some information. So we conducted some of the queries, and then we found out that for certain set of situations, Facebook's policies were not enforcing what they were supposed to do. So remember our wordings in letter and spirit. So in letter, they were doing in some examples, but in spirit, they were not. And in some examples, it was not absolutely enforcing those things. So if we want to reason about the type of access control on Facebook, we would say that existence of path is necessary condition for accessing anything on Facebook. Each node on the social graph is protected by a policy specified by the owner of that node. So if you have posted an image and the policy is friends, that image is available only for friends. Therefore, for accessing a content, there must exist a path between a requester and content, and the requester must satisfy the policy specified on the content. So we might, I'm not sure how many of you have experimented with the policies, but it is possible to say that a particular post is for friends, except a particular friend. You can do that also. Okay. So that is the background about social graph, about the nodes, how the edges get formed. Now let's come to labels. So what are labels? So labels are things like friends, family, friend of friends. These are the labels, and these are predefined. These are particular about the platform. So the platform by design provides you these labels. Then the platform also allows you to define your own labels, like my friends or my pets or my cycling group or my jogging group. These kind of personalized user defined things also you can define. Then you can also define a label like IIT Bombay. So it could be a label under which all IIT Bombay students, faculty, or anyone who is related with IIT Bombay can come together. So if someone makes a post and the policy is for IIT Bombay, then everyone who is member of that group would be. So this is how the platform is making it convenient for the users to post and control those posts. So the intention is the platform provides some predefined labels like friends, family. It also allows you to define your own labels, and using those labels, you will enforce the policies. Then there are socially defined labels also, something called as smart lists, which is, for example, IIT Bombay is a smart list. So these are the things that are allowed on the platform. So if you post something and if you get into the settings of that post, you will see that there are strings like only me, friends, family, close friends, acquaintance, friend of friends. So these are predefined labels of the platform. Then the platform also allows you to form smart lists like a university like IIT Bombay or a school. And then it allows you to form private lists, which makes sense only within your group. A private list called cycling. Or you can also have policies custom, which is like friends except school friends, friends minus family. Okay. So those kind of custom policies also you can enforce. So for example, these were my set of associations. So those associations are also used as smart lists, and I could use these labels to enforce access policies on the posts that I put on Facebook. So you will have your own private lists or your associations, but all of us on the platform will definitely have these things like public friends, friends accept, specific friends, or only me. So these are the things that are usually allowed for every node, and these are provided by the platform. And you can define your own things so that you understand what kind of access control you are putting in place. So that is the intention of the platform, to give the users the sense that they are controlling the access. And our investigation is whether the platform really doing those things. Okay, so we do something like, I'm showing you an example that I posted something, I'm saying this should be for friends, then my friends can see. So for example, what we have found that the smart lists are not effective. You can, any one of you can come and join IIT Bombay group, and you can get, so whether it is meant like that or not meant like that, it is not explicit, but it is possible. But our view or the common understanding of layman is if you are associated with something, if that name exists, you get a perception that you are somehow associated with that. And that people could use, or the influencers could use for their benefit. So platform was designed for something, but not having very strict safeguards also allows a particular type of people to manipulate the platform. That's what we want to show. So we spoke about platform predefined lists, user-defined list, smart list, and custom policies. So let's see some example how access control policies are enforced. So I'll take a bit of speed now, okay? So we have reached, I think all of you are with me, at least to understand that the social network is a graph. Every one of us and our posts, our comments are nodes on the graph. And every interaction with these nodes are edges, which are labeled. And if someone wants to access your content, from that node to your node, there must exist a path. And if that path exists, on that node, there is a policy like only me or for friends or for family. Based on that policy, the platform will give or deny access to that node. So I won't get into the technicalities of access control because you may not have sufficient background in access controls. But what I want to highlight over here is Facebook is a hybrid access control platform. They use different models to achieve uh, uh, what their users want. Okay, and they give several bells and whistle for their users to keep engaged and control their things. So getting into the details, this is the algorithm, this is how the Facebook internally works. So this is through our observations, not given by Facebook. This is after doing several observations by posting, removing, commenting, liking, deleting, all those kind of things. Okay. So now let's come to the question that is for which I wanted you to listen to me for this talk. Whether Facebook preserves privacy. Okay, so what are the limitations and what are the examples of violation? So let's not get into each of the notations, but I request you to just notice that there is a users. Let's consider there are only 6 users on the platform, A, B, C, D, E, F, and we denote their relationship with each other like this. A comma B means A and B are friends, B and C are friends, C and D are friends, and likewise. So don't remember these things. These just remember the notation. So each node is a capital alphabet. Their relationships are represented by association in a bracket with a comma. And if they post something, if A1 has posted something, I denote it like P of A1. Similarly, P of B1 and likewise. And if you are associated with a smart list like University of School, you will be member of that set. So university is a set and E and F are members of that set. So this is the notation I use to formally show the examples in the paper. So these are the notations. So if B has posted something, that means B has authored P1 and the policy is only me. Here, B has authored P1 means, and there is no policy, that means it has commented on it. Then if B has authored P2 and tagged A1, so this is the notation. If a user likes P of D1, the notation is like this. So these are the notations that we use to make the example. And this is the snapshot of some of the interactions on the graph. So I told you about graph. all users, posts, comments are nodes on the graph, and the interactions with these nodes are edges on the graph. And these are the notations that I'm using. So A, B, C, D, E, F are the users. They are doing something. So I'm taking a snapshot of 5 distinct time slots, T1, T2, T3, T4, T5. We will proceed from T1 to T5. So the time propagates like this. I want you to stay with me just within T1. So these are the initial stages of all the nodes on the graph at time T1. So A1 has posted something, B1 has posted something, C has posted something and allowed friends to access it. D has posted something and allowed friend of friends to access it. Okay. So we will see how we evaluate those things on the graph. So this is at time T1. At time T2, different set of actions happen. So for example, A has commented on a post made by B1. So what should be the condition? If A can comment on B1 means A and B should be friends. You remember A comma B was there, right? Therefore, A could comment on post made by B1. And then likewise, B makes another post. C has commented on D's post. D has liked E's post. E had liked F1's post. F has made a post F2, and the policy is school except E. Means every friend in the school except the user E. Such a thing is possible. So when E comes to access this node, Facebook won't allow, because the policy is E should not be allowed to see P of F2. So likewise, at time T through some other set of actions happen, time T4 some other set of actions happen, T5. So this is a very meticulously designed example to succinctly show how Facebook fails to enforce some of the policies. Just stay with me. I just want to show you a couple of examples, simple examples, and then we'll discuss about the larger implications of the privacy violation. So A, B, C, D, E, F were friends. They were friends with each other. Therefore, there are edges. Then they had formed smart lists like this. If E and F are part of same university, A and F are part of same school, and F is a common connection between A and E, such things occur on Facebook. So it is not very difficult to imagine that. So moving further, so at time T1, something happened. So this is the graph that I can populate with those actions. At time T2, something happens. This is the graph. At time T3, something happens. This is the graph. Time T4, something happens. This is the graph. So the graph is very dynamic. At every time slot, each and every action is getting recorded. And now you can imagine billions of users making at least hundreds of actions. So imagine how complicated or how dense the graphs are, and how Facebook is managing such a huge infrastructure. It's engineering wise, it's an amazing feat, but privacy wise, there are still a lot of leakages that happen on the platform. So this is a hypothetical scenario, and using that scenario, I am making my arguments. So there is a graph, there are active users interacting with each other, and the graph is getting richer and richer. If you delete something, that is deducted from the graph. So anyone who is observing this graph is able to make use of this graph. For sure, this graph belongs to Facebook. So Facebook is in a position to observe each and everything on this graph. If you are a node on this graph, for sure you are allowed to query your own stuff, your own posts, and your friends' posts based on those policies. So you are able to traverse a portion of the graph. And if you're an advertiser, a paid advertiser, Facebook allows you a different set of APIs to reach out to intended audience. So that is a different set of operations Facebook allows to different set of nodes on the graph. So there are different types of nodes on the graph. Facebook is the root node of the graph, and it can traverse everywhere without any restriction. Then there are user nodes who are operating under the policies of each other. Then there are advertising nodes who are allowed to traverse to the intended audience based on some payment. So the question is, the larger is your observation, more information you can gather, more deductions you can make. So my question is, just take a pause. If all of us, or I'm sure majority of us, are using a particular ISP, internet service provider. So is that service provider an observer of our Facebook traffic? Yes, may not be the content, but our activities for sure. Our friends can observe our sphere. Our friend of friends can observe our sphere if the policy is like that. So these are the observations that are possible on the graph based on the policies. So issue of a privacy comes into existence as soon as an unintended observer observes an information. So if you have posted something for a friend, and if the friend sees that, that's okay, because you have allowed that thing to happen like that. If someone who is not your friend and still observing something or deducing something, that is something not what you intended, right? And that is how we define privacy. So any unintended observation about your actions on the platform is a privacy violation. So the observed information need not necessarily be personally identifiable information. It could be if you make a like for a post which is sensitive, that is a privacy violation. So we argue that our observations are restrictive change in policy. That means change of a policy from a larger audience to smaller. That means first I make a post for public, and then I reduce it to family, or I reduce it to friend. It is a restrictive change in policy. Non-restrictive change in policy means change of policy from smaller audience to a larger audience. Only me to public, friend to friend of friends, custom to public. So these are the examples. Like these are the some of the examples with which we argue that if this is the sequence of events, then some stated policy of Facebook is not being followed in letter and spirit. So okay, so I request you to slowly go through these examples in the paper that we have presented in 2017. But the point I would like to carry in this presentation is, it is possible to retrieve information through APIs which was not intended. For example, I post something for public. Of course, all of you can see that. Some of you can comment on it. Then I change the post to only me or to friends. Then what happens to your comments? Because comment is a node. Do they get locked? who is the owner of those comments? If you know the ID of that node, can you make a query to those comments? So those are the things that we investigated in our paper. So what we found out that despite having a policy that my friend list should be visible only to me, and if you open my Facebook and try to see my friend list, you won't be able to see it. But if I have commented on some of my friends' things, or some of my friends have commented on a post which is public, then you can make a query to that post and see all the friends that I have. So this is one such query. And if you paste it in your interface, you will start seeing my friends. But the policy that I have set in my settings on Facebook is my friends should be visible only to me. But you can figure out who are my friends on Facebook. So there were similar such other examples using the Facebook APIs. We could figure out that all the policies that are provided to the users are not being enforced in letter and spirit. So those observations we made, and we presented our paper with those findings. And then also, we also proposed, by understanding how Facebook has implemented its infrastructure, what they could have done, or how, because it was just a contemplation that why they would have done something the way they have done. So we also made some assumptions that they might have done a particular engineering design for a particular reason. And for that matter, we also proposed what Facebook could do to preserve users' privacy in letter and spirit. So these were our findings, which we presented in our paper. So, so now let me give you some scenarios why this is important, why such leakages, and why some of the big events in Facebook's history happened because of these things. So you might recollect the Cambridge Analytica incident, which was accused of influencing the US elections. So briefly, the technological setup was like this. Cambridge Analytica was present on Facebook platform. It was an analytics company. It could observe users. It could observe users' likes, dislikes, posts, comments. It could categorize the posts, comments into particular things. And it collected huge amount of such publicly available information about users on Facebook graph and started doing analytics. So for example, I post something about not so what non-suspecting things, like just a flower or a sunset or a sunrise. So these are non-suspecting images for which you may do a like. You may like it, you may comment it. But what type of images, what type of content you like or comment upon is revealing a personality trait about you. So there is a research from Kozinski which states that with just few likes about a user on any random posts allows to predict a personality of that user as good as an actual friend of that user can predict about that user. If you get more number of likes, whatever that user's acquaintance, let's say wife or husband, can predict about that user, Facebook can predict about that user. If you get even more likes, the platform becomes even more accurate. So this is called personality trait measurement. And there is a model called OCEAN, Ocean, which categorizes users into 5 distinct personality traits. So why I'm telling you all about this? There is a particular trait which political parties are interested in, which is undecided users. Users who are easy to move from one ideology to another ideology. So that's where political parties are interested on the platform to find out who are the people who could be influenced and shifted to a particular ideology. So that was Cambridge Analytica was accused of. They faced congressional hearing also for this. So how could they do this? They could do this not being any special node on the graph, but just by observing the interactions of users on the graph and whatever Facebook allows for any entity by being on the graph. So you may think that likes or comments are unsuspectingly not revealing anything about you, but this is how sophisticated the technological apparatus has become. Not only the advertisers are interested in this, which we can understand that they are interested in selling their products, but it has a huge implication on the way the society works, the way one can influence a particular set of users and motivate them to do something or not to do something. So, and this is just by having a few data points on the graph. So that's what the online social networks have built. And we spoke about one such graph on which there are a huge number of users, then there are some apps, then there are advertisers, and then there is the super user, that is Facebook, who is the owner. And this is a huge global graph about people, and somehow they are connected with each other, and all actions are getting recorded. So imagine how rich this graph is. So this is about one graph. What if we connect other graphs, like there is some other huge graph, then there is some other graph, then there are auxiliary graphs, private graphs. Imagine what kind of analytics one can do. What could be the privacy implications if these graphs, the policies on these graphs are not enforced the way they are stated. So with this, I open up the floor for questions. So Professor Rawat, you can help me over here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Vishwas Patil, for your excellent presentation. And I'm very much confident that your session has enriched everyone's knowledge and understanding. So if you look at the chat box, there are few questions they have already listed down. One of the questions in the beginning, Dhruv Bhardwaj has asked, how does the WhatsApp make profit? Because it does not even do any kind of advertisement. So,
Valid question. I think if you see this graph, who are the owners of these two graphs? Meta, right?
Okay.
right? So Meta is a parent company of both of these graphs. So it purchased WhatsApp at some point. So why it purchased? Because this graph, the WhatsApp graph, has a huge set of other type of profiling information, which is useful for this graph to engage the advertisers. As accurate the prediction for the advertisers, the more revenue for the platform. So the network of WhatsApp is assisting Meta's other platform to achieve its objective to serve the advertisers in a better way. So
Okay.
not making any advertisements on WhatsApp can also sustain WhatsApp because it is helping Facebook.
Okay. I think Hasim has already asked some question here, so I will just go through his question. What are the easiest tips that we can follow to safeguard our privacy on social media networks? He's our student from African countries. We have a many participant who actually doing BCA, both BCA as well as MCA program.
Mhm.
He's one of our students, and if you can comment on that.
Uh,
Easiest tips we can follow to safeguard our privacy on social media networks.
See, there is a contradictory requirement we are asking here. We want to be social and we also want to be private. But the question what we had here for analysis was, whatever was promised, was it delivered or is it getting delivered? That was the question. So regarding your question as a user, I think you should put a close attention to all the settings that are provided and whether they are actually getting enforced, and avoid giving permissions to apps that you do not know. Periodically cross-check how many permissions you have given to how many apps. If they are no more necessary, you should revoke. So that kind of routine checks one should do. And also stay updated on the events that every now and then come to our notice. Okay.
Okay. So I think there are many students they have raised their hand, but for the security purpose, we don't want to give that permission, and we have asked them to write the question in the chat window. And there is one more question we will take now. And
Mhm.
there are huge amounts of user accounts hacking going on lately on Facebook. How can we safeguard our account from such? So he's a student from the African countries. They'll have to Ahmed.
Mhm. I think that is because of weaker 2FA. So if you have lost control over your phone number, or you had some phone number and it has gone to someone else, that is a easier way. It cannot be said hacking, but control is gone to someone else. Hacking, we cannot contemplate how it might have happened, but there are ways. But there is not because of settings of Facebook. Facebook provides sufficient safeguards to protect yourself. So I think you should pay close attention to all the security features that Facebook provides, like 2FA. And using that, you can safeguard yourself.
Okay, got it. So I think there are many questions who have raised their hands, and like Rahul is one. Rahul, if you have any such question, you can actually write down in the chat window. And There were some questions related to the certificate regarding the participation certificate. So definitely, all the students who will give the feedback, which we are going to share very soon. I think one Manu Bharadwaj, if you just go through this, I think he has given a very big question, and what I will do is I will definitely give the mail IDs of our experts today, and you can be in touch with him directly, and I hope that he will be able to answer some of your queries.
I think Manu's thing we have discussed, except DPDP.
Mm.
Of course, there is our another follow-up paper was on GDPR, which is similar to DPDP that you can refer to, and Facebook follows those things. So lot has changed on at Facebook side also.
Mm.
So as I mentioned, this was our research from 2017. Chetan says what type of algorithms. They don't declare those things, but there is one paper about their infrastructure, and that is purely about infrastructure, not about prediction. So, but I think you can easily figure out what kind of um, algorithms all these entertaining media houses use.
So I think there are many questions coming out. So what I will suggest all the participants to write those queries to the mail ID which we have shared earlier, and definitely will be in touch with the experts, and we'll try to give all your reply as soon as possible. At the end of the after the vote of thanks, we'll have a group photos where we'll ask everyone to switch on their videos. And now I request Dr. Sudhan Sarmaji to propose vote of thanks.
Thank you, Professor Sandeep. Indeed, this was a very wonderful session, eye-opening session, and very informative session. Thank you, Dr. Vishwas Patil, for delivering such a good content, and we are really enriched by the information provided by you. I'm actually thankful that I got an opportunity to deliver vote of thanks to such a knowledgeable session. And we are really thankful to our Professor Nageshwar Rao, Vice Chancellor, sir, who had enabled us to deliver such type of lecture series. We are also thankful to our PVC ma'am, Professor Uma Kanjilal ma'am, and our Director Sources, Professor P. Venkat Suresh. Without the support and arrangements of Professor Sandeep Rawat, the event could not be possible. We are thankful to them on behalf of School of Computers and Information Sciences. I deliver my vote of thanks to all the participants and all the facilitators who made this event successful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sudhanji. Now I will request everyone to please switch on their videos for a minute. And meanwhile, I will also share my feedback link. This feedback link you can submit for another 20 minutes. And I request the teams to please take a screenshot for the documentation purpose. So all the students who are live today, I request them to switch on their videos. Yes, I think we are done.
Sandeep,
Gigi.
are you able to get a single screenshot with everybody, or I think you need to take multiple screenshots, is it?
I think we need to take multiple because
Yeah. So I think in some screens the people are just opening their videos. Okay, and I think better you take all the screens.
I hope we have taken good number of screenshots, and thank you, everyone.
Facebook is also very intelligent. It is swapping the screens in such a way that whoever is switching on the video, it's putting them in one screen. As you move across, we are finding more windows where the video is not yet opened. So I think AI is also in action to some extent.
Yeah, even my video is not getting open. I don't know. So I'm not able to. Yeah, maybe I will use another one. Yeah, I have my another ones. I hope this should work. Yeah. So thank you, Vishwas ji, once again for your wonderful presentation, and thanks to all the participants. And as we are doing the series of knowledge transfer series, so definitely we'll meet in the next series. Thank you once again. And
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Thank